So, we are playing Three Kingdoms All-Star Idle RPG. Let's get a first impression. The game came out April this year, so if you're interested, it is available to download in your App Store. But I'll log in as a guest. If I like it, I may bind it. We'll see. Oh wow, this is going by really fast. So modern girl gets isekai'd into Three Kingdoms era China. Let's read along with some of the dialogue.
What's going on here? Did I hit my head during archery practice? There's not much time left before the next competition.
How dare you meddle with the yellow turbans? Taste our wrath!
You wretches, have you forgotten all sense of honor, even to the point of harassing women?
Bring me more. I will handle this myself.
Dong Zhou, you tormented the people with your greed, and now you've allied with the Yellow Turbans.
Liu Bei, you two should fear the day you fall by my hands. You fools! Eliminate Liu Bei's group and that outsider immediately!
Good time, Dong Zhou. Today I will take you down and spread my fame even further.
Zhang Fei, be careful. Dong Zhou is a formidable foe.
How? This is as far as I go. But next time, this won't end here.
Thank you for saving me. Anyone would stand with a hero who has saved the people. Judging by your unusual attire, you must be from a faraway land and got caught up in these events. I am Liu Bei Xuan. Would you lend your exceptional archery skill to the cause of justice and aid me?
Liu Bei? Then the one behind you must be Guan Yu? Zhang Fei?
It seems we've become quite famous, brother.
The Yellow Turbans are closing in. We don't have time to waste. Zhang Fei, stay with this one and assist them for now. Guan Yu and I will investigate the situation further and join you later.
Okay, that's probably all the dialogue I'll be reading for now. The texts go by really quickly. User interface right off the bat looks like the typical idle game setup. But we'll follow the prompts. So on the visual level, the game is actually not bad looking. The sprites are decently animated, and the special effects themselves are good. They have impact. Yep, level up. So with the leveling system, I'm guessing you're probably going to be doing this less over time, so it'll still require more experience, or maybe you'll just have to do it once when you log out and then log it back in when you decide to play it. Okay, fight a boss once the stage is completed. So since this is a generic boss, I'm guessing that's probably why it has basic animations. I would imagine it would be exhausting pulling the strings of a bow in quick succession. I think it depends also what the type of bow it is and the material. But more leveling up. The background appears to be looping for the most part, which makes sense for this type of game. Okay, so it's very much your typical idle game. It's very quick. The story tends to be secondary in a lot of these. Very rarely do you encounter an idle game where it's in-depth, and often at some point the story gets dropped altogether, and cutscene qualities does go down as well, along with writing quality, if any. I played quite a few Three Kingdoms era games. It's the first time seeing Dong Zhou and Zhang Jiao teaming up, since usually if Zhang Jiao teams up with anyone, it's the more mystical-like characters like Zuo Shi, and more peace-loving, like Liu Bei, and Dong Zhou with whoever the evil faction is, since he's a greedy corrupto type of character. It's progressing how I expected it to go. Okay, more dialogue. I'll be honest though, the music is getting a little repetitious since it's looping the same track over and over, and there's not a lot of changes going on, so I'm assuming the track itself is not very long in length. So with these games you probably end up memorizing the melody of the song since it repeats over and over and over. And I'm guessing it probably won't change asides the boss fights. Probably not until you get to the next section of the game itself, which I'm assuming is probably Hulao Gate, since usually that's what comes next after the Yellow Turban Rebellion. So again, game is pretty simple to play. Nothing too complicated. It's very much a turn your brain off type of game. Or, I guess if you want a quick jolt. Okay, so no difference on those equipment. Okay, same thing, no change, so let's go ahead and sell that. Okay, so probably just gonna distribute the stats evenly, since that makes sense. Okay, another boss, generic yellow turban soldier.
By the way, Zhang Fei, I heard you enjoy drinking. Are you fine without alcohol?
Alcohol is my lifeblood, but on the battlefield, a strong willpower is what matters most.
A profound statement.
Still, nothing beats the taste of alcohol when drinking after battle. Are there no yellow turbans around carrying alcohol?
Wow, was that really profound? She sounds like the friend that knows there's a problem but continues to egg on the bad behavior. It's a bit odd it wants you to tap the camera view, since the sprite fighting are only okay detail-wise. But the dialogue though goes by really quickly, so more likely than not in edit I will probably need to speed up whatever I read. Again, the portrait looks really nice, the portrait art. And again, the sprite detail is not too bad. So let's keep leveling up. Let's check the character art. I'm kind of curious about the other characters. So a lot of your staples, Lu Bu, Jiao Chan, Xiahou Dun, Sima Yi, Sun Shangxiang, Guojia, Zhuge Liang, Cao Cao. The art style I've seen before in other Three Kingdom games, but I like the portrait art. A lot of the characters got prettied up, which I don't mind. Very shonen. So it looks a lot like anime, or actually a lot there, or very similar to the art style of Dynasty Warrior and Samurai Warrior. So I'm guessing that probably influenced the designs of these characters. Now, in terms of, characters typically you have prettied up. Those would be, well, besides the female characters, you'll have Lu Jun, who I'm not seeing here. Zhou Yu. Sometimes Liu Bei, because with Liu Bei's design, he'll either be clean shaven or will have a mustache and goatee typically. Guaja, I think usually is portrayed that way. But yeah, I like it so far. Some of these characters I've never heard of. Well, probably not never heard of. I probably never focused on them. Because if you play something maybe like Romance of the Three Kingdoms, there you end up with a ton of soldiers, and you're probably only going to remember the major generals or major players in the story. So characters like Diao Chan, Lu Bu, of course the major faction leaders, Liu Bei, Cao Cao, Sun Jian, Sun Ce, Sun Quan. Oh, and those are easy to remember. Okay, but let's level up a little bit. New character, Merchant Lady. Oh wow. Zhang Fei and his alcohol. So, constantly replacing equipment. I guess you could say keeps you tapped in, and tapping along if you're actively watching. Now, going back to character portrayal, so like Zhang Fei, I think he is usually portrayed like very rambunctious and he likes to drink. Although it's been a while since I've gone through the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the story itself, so I can only recall certain details about the story. And it's been a while since I looked into their historical background.
Zhang Fei, what do you think is most important in battle?
Strength, of course. With enough strength, you can solve anything.
But isn't strategy also important?
That's true. That's why I always think about how to use my strength before I strike.
Would that really be considered strategy? No response from Zhang Fei. I guess it kind of is. Modifying offense based on the immediate scenario, I guess, is kind of strategy, but not really. And similar to the previous dialogue, that went by super fast, so probably in post-edit I may need to speed it up just to match it up with the dialogue pop-up.
Who's there? Stop hiding and come out at once!
I've already heard everything. His Excellency sent me himself. And this person here, he must be General Zhang Fei, correct?
Huh? Don't tell me you're that fussy noble from Shu Province.
Fussy? That's too much. I'm just cautious, that's all. I'm Ye Wen, an aide to His Excellency in Shu Province. From now on, I will be working with you. Realistically, if someone popped out of nowhere spying on you without a word from a higher up that someone would pop up, I would be weary. But I guess if you were dumped into a completely different world or timeline, you would probably get as much help as you can, and
avoid trying to question things, even though survival wise you kind of want to keep your wits about you. But like with any storyline, the main character of course is exceptional in some way. So I don't know if it really makes sense to judge it based off of a typical person's point of view, since no one is really average in these games, at least in terms of the main characters or the major players, save for of course the mobs. And that is usually how it goes, so not too heavy. So the missions just keep recycling ever so often after a boss fight dialogue plays. And the cutscenes so far have been nothing more than quick dialogue pop-up or the visual novel kind of setup with the sprites, and then you have dialogue pop-up, so nothing too crazy. So we haven't seen any like static art, or I highly doubt there'll be any animation involved portraying cutscenes. So I have my hopes very low. Or I'm keeping my hope very low. So next time you're angry, I'll yell for you. That would be weird if you had someone just solely there to scream for you. Or maybe not. Never mind. That's actually not too strange. In some people's circle, you'll have that one person that enjoys the confrontation. So I guess that's not too weird. Oh, inventory unlocked. Okay, let's open this up. Okay, I'm guessing maybe gotcha tokens. So this pretty much follows how Liu Bei's portrayed as straight-laced, virtue-driven, using charisma in fiction. Although on a side note, I don't think it's often mentioned he had multiple wives, which is commonplace in the era, depending on a person's prospects. Of course, most common in rulers, or the more money you have, or the higher up you are in your position. But it's usually Xun Shangxiang that gets mentioned. And yeah, usually with the Dynasty Warriors or the Romance of the Three Kingdom games, it usually only presents if there's any romantic interest involved in the story or gameplay. It'll be singular, not multiple. Which is, it probably makes it simple. Oh, cool. So we get to see the gacha system. Okay, the pulls are blah. No super rare. So at a glance, it looks like you would need to summon a lot to get the shards to star up the characters. And it looks like it requires a lot if it's giving you 300 pull option, which isn't typical for most gachas of this irk. So that may or may not be a good thing. So depending on how often they give the tokens, or if you plan to pay, how expensive. So the store setup pretty similar to your other gachas in a similar vein. Lots of monetization to try to get you to spend. So like with most gachas, it's going up and down based off of the price. So yeah, a lot. It jumps in price. Actually, the pricing wise, it about how most gachas are. Now, of course, with their value, that ultimately depends on the player and whether or not you enjoy it. Let's keep going. Still nothing. So the rates for rare characters isn't great, but I guess that's where they'll try to pull in people to spend, to try to collect. But yeah, you need a ton of copies. So far it's been decently generous with the pulls, which for these type of games you kind of want to get people to keep going and pull them in. And also considering how many copies you need and how low the rates are for those characters, especially for those must-have ones like Lu Bu. And because these type of games are pretty easy to drop, probably for most people, if it doesn't really vibe with them, you also want to make sure you give that. I guess when you roll on a gacha, you do get that endorphin high. At least for some people. Myself, not really. Actually, if I get a lot of rolls, I guess you get more anxious since you're really hoping you get what you want, but usually not the case. So based on that, I guess Mi-Yuan is the counterbalance to Zhang Fei. And she's more careful and methodical, while Zhang Fei is more rash, on-the-spot decision. So it's giving you a lot of options positioning-wise. So that's actually kind of nice, maybe. I guess strategic standpoint, it's not too complicated since, of course, you're going to be putting your ranged characters in the back and your melee characters and tanks in the front. So yeah, the 10-day missions, those are always good. So it keeps you logging in, trying to complete each one. Looks like Diao Chen is the free character you receive once you complete all the missions. Or actually, no, it looks like it's collectible tomorrow, so probably when you complete these ones. It says 8. 3 out of 8, so probably when you complete the first day mission and then the second day mission. Now, speaking of Diao Chen, she is probably one of the more popular characters. Historically, she's a fictional character. There probably was a maid that was involved in the scheme by Wang Yun, but never named in the history books. And typically with women in Chinese history, at least around that era, they weren't written about too often. She is one of the 4 beauties of China. So it finally gave me some epic characters. That took a while. Again, no super rare. I guess epic characters we can just say are the 4-star characters. I'm assuming I'm never getting a super rare legendary character during this first impression. So for this game particularly, you're going to be attracting probably more of the 3 Kingdoms era crowd. Usually a good idea to give a carrot and give at least 1 legendary early on. But I guess you could count the characters you receive when you complete the missions. But the reason for that is to get the players to get attached to the game because of the characters they received. And typically players will be that way if it's something that's super rare or a character that they recognize. Because like mentioned before, these type of games, it can be very hit or miss for a lot of people. And if you really want to capture the attention of the player, you'll probably want to do as much as possible to retain you want to do as much as possible to retain the player base. Okay, but it is getting a little bit more chaotic with more characters involved. I'm kind of curious how many characters Max you can actually have on your team, or whether you could fill up all of those positions. I'm assuming not, but that's probably not the case. I don't think you can fill out all of the tiles on the formation screen. Okay, so yeah, usually for these, when you level up, they will pop up some sort of monetization. Again, usually starts off small, and then as you get further down the line, it gets more expensive. Which, if you've leveled up that much, they kind of figured you're invested in the game and maybe willing to chip in a little more. And again, your mileage may vary, so, and the value of the game is based off of your enjoyment.
Oh boy, going through all of these is tedious. I'm a little surprised though that Zhang Fei is only a generic soldier, since historically he had some impact, even though his rebellion with Zhang Fei failed to topple Sima Zhao, which led to the Jin Dynasty that actually lasted for 1.5 centuries, so it's odd.
Plus, with these games, they tend to follow the note of more popular games, again, like Dynasty Warrior and Romance of the Three Kingdoms, so you would think, like, again, with those characters that do get a unique model, other games would follow through and emulate those characters that were being focused on. Yep, just promoting all of these, even though, again, especially with the characters you're probably not going to be using, this may be a waste of time. Because I don't think you're probably going to use the generic characters. Unless somewhere down the road, this game has a mode where you're required to use the non-unique modeled characters or the non-portrait characters, which I highly doubt. Now there are some games that do that, where it has you use certain rarity. I know, like Grand Blue. There are some story missions where it's required you use the lowest grade characters, so in that game it would be rare summons, since it goes rare, super rare, and super rare. I might be wrong about that, but R, SR, SSR. But again, highly doubt this game has anything like that. But I will keep my formation the way it is. So yeah, it's again, the more characters are on the screen, the harder it is to tell what's going on. Since also with the sprites themselves, they start to overlap with each other. But again, what are you gonna do? Okay, so it's good that, again, I like the automatic summon. So you don't have to constantly be clicking. But this part, though, is kind of annoying, since I can't just automatically equip whatever is better. And I have to manually sell the items each time so far. Maybe down the line. Who knows? But with Three Kingdoms, I think my favorite part is usually either the Battle of Chirbi or Hulao Gate. I've been kind of blah. I'm kind of meh with the Yellow Turban Rebellion. I mean, with the Yellow Turban, I guess with that faction, their big issue, probably, or more likely, is they did have a leader, but the leader themselves and the subordinates didn't really do a good job with controlling or keeping order within their ranks, and as a result, you had pillaging going on and committing actions that went against what they were originally trying to accomplish. Okay, so this boss has way more HP, so it's taking a while. Oh no, okay. Nope, okay. So I probably need to level up more. Yep, defeat. Okay, so I guess now it's starting to get a little more difficult. So I guess this is at the point where maybe you want to leave it and then come back when it's automatically gathered enough experience to level up the characters and your general stats. So that's Three Kingdoms Allstar Idol RPG. It's been out for a few months. Graphically, the sprites are cute. The portrait art are well done in a very anime shonen type style. Sound and music is just okay. The soundtrack didn't really stand out and looped the same few tracks. Sound effect wise, I was expecting there to be more. No voice acting at all. Gameplay wise, there is some micromanaging, like leveling up your troop, changing equipments, combine character shards, so it's very collect and maybe level a few characters and then get out. It falls in line with the typical idol gacha. The gacha system for those gotta get 'em generals is abysmal. A lot of monetizing with the huge list of items to purchase. New player rewards is generous, so that's always a plus. Overall first impression, I would give this a 3 out of 5. It's not bad, and it would maybe resonate more for the Three Kingdoms fanbase, Dynasty Warriors crowd. But I think that's going to be it. If you've tried a game and have some thoughts, comment below, like and subscribe, follow me on my socials. If you've tried the game and have some thoughts, comment below, like and subscribe, follow me on my socials. Are you okay? Signing out.